Hello, Emma. Welcome to Power Women Wellness. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm
Excited to be
very
here.
excited that you're here. And I love what you do. So that's why, there's lots of questions coming to mind here. But first, we'll start off with telling us your journey. Like, what made you realize that this was your career? Coaching is where you're meant to be. Like, walk us through that.
I started coaching about almost 5 years ago now, and how this all started, it came as like a byproduct of my own healing journey.
Okay.
I think what no one tells you, you don't read the fine print when you start embarking on the healing journey, and nobody tells you just like how lonely this journey is, and
Yeah.
no one gives you any direction. It's basically just here you are, figure it out as you go. So from my own experiences and healing my own childhood trauma and going a little deeper and understanding how much the subconscious plays a part in our daily life. And for me personally, my childhood trauma stems back from I grew up in a structure of like around narcissism. So
Mm.
continuing those patterns into adulthood and choosing friendships and choosing partners who exhibit the same traits, it was pretty devastating for my well-being coming out of my a 10-year marriage with
Wow.
PTSD and my whole brain working completely different
Yeah.
what I've been
Yeah.
using my whole life. It was basically a wake-up call. So
Wow.
when I was healing from that, I'm the type of person that I will try a million different things just to see. I'll throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I'd read all the books, I'd done all the courses, I had done everything. But what I didn't realize was the main thing that was the little key that was missing was focus on the nervous system. So
Oh
once,
my gosh.
so once I actually focused on my nervous system and started healing that, everything else started falling into place. And
Yes.
so my goal, I'm not trained. I'm not trained on nervous system healing. So that wasn't my goal. My goal was if I was, because I'm a mother and I have a daughter, and I think for me, it was really big about breaking the cycle. That was kind of like
Yep.
a good mother for me. So
100%.
I kind of like reverse engineered. If I wanted to present this to my daughter so that she was strong enough and had the armor and was well equipped with the tools to not go down the same path I made, to not make the same mistakes I made, what would that look like? And
Hmm.
in terms of finding my method, so I created the Ramar method. It really wasn't an intention of trying to lay out a roadmap for helping people heal, because I understand everyone's trauma is different. I can't walk
Yeah.
a day in your shoes, you can't walk a day in my shoes. However, we all have that same foundation that we need that can provide us this protective armor to help us through the bad times, because good and bad's always going to come. Yeah,
Yeah.
if we're equipped, we have the tools,
Yeah.
then it's just going to make that ride a whole lot easier. And that's
Yeah.
led me down the road of, building a solid foundation of self-worth, going through a self-acceptance, accepting all parts of ourselves, and then, stepping into authentic power. For me, that's the baseline that we all need to be able to have the strength to help us navigate whatever it is we're going through in life. And that's kind of where it started. And
Love
it's
that.
developed as I've gone along. And I develop one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching now. I do speaking to groups. I'm gonna shortly be going into like corporate spaces and teaching workshops. But it's just something I'm really passionate about because I think because of my own experience, and
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that if you've been through hard times and you've come out on the other side and you've got something worth teaching somebody that could help somebody else, I think you should share that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I love that you shared that because that's also something that we see in our patients, where, we're doing the things. We're looking at the food, we're looking at the exercise, we're looking at environmental toxins. I mean, we can go down different rabbit holes for sure. But in my most stubborn cases, and they're not a ton because a lot of those other needle movers will move the needle. But if there is something that's just like stubbornly lingering, or maybe like they just haven't gotten, again, I can probably count on two hands at this point in being in business for 10 years, where it's just like, oh my gosh, no matter what we do, it just will not move. And every single time there is a past trauma because we do try to understand that person's like history, literally going back to when they're in kindergarten. So understand not just health things, but exactly being like sexually abused or being physically abused, or like parents getting divorced and they had to move across the country and start a whole new life. And that was really traumatic for them being in like elementary school, right? Like all of those things, that those are really prominent, um, things that even though they may think that they have understood and worked through it, I truly believe that is like the thing that's holding them back the most because their bodies are in fight or flight and they've never worked through it even though they think they have, which is always so interesting. But the body keeps a score, which is like one of my like really great books that I read, even though it's very long. But it's just so interesting to see how much the nervous system plays a role in people's healing journeys too. So we've seen that before as well.
And I
So I
think
love that you said that.
the big things is like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you're not fortunate enough to have a parent or a mentor or somebody who can actually direct you and show you these things, we're
Yeah.
all just walking around life like so unconscious, and it's
We're all
crazy,
we're all figuring it out.
right?
So yes, it is really helpful to have someone that helps you figure it out and makes it a little bit of a easier process, even though sometimes it's still not easy, but it's nice to have that guide and that person that at least can hold your hand through it. And I love that because, like you said, life is going to life and it's going to be up and down. I would say this year has been one of my hardest years of my life. I lost my mom a couple months ago, and just all these things that we're building and building. It's like one thing after another. But all the work that I have done previously, the goal is resilience and just being able to be resilient and be able to take the lows low, but knowing that you can, like, get back to equilibrium. So I love that what you're doing is really empowering women to understand what that looks like. So I love that your definition of wellness was having, that emotional intelligence, radical self-worth, inner authority. I would love for you to speak more on this, and I think we'll dive into this a little bit more. But where do our emotions come in as leaders? Because we're power women, we're running businesses, we are climbing up the corporate ladder. Like, where do our emotions play a part?
Well, I think they play a part in everything, don't they? I think the best leaders you see are the leaders that are in control of their emotions, emotional
Mm,
intelligence. I think once I started like studying emotional intelligence and like really getting into the research, I was shocked that, the research shows that only, I think now it's been updated, it's about 36% of people have self-awareness or emotionally intelligent. So that's a whole lot
I
of
agree.
people,
I
right,
agree.
that we're interacting with on a daily basis that are so unaware of how they affect the people around them. And so as
Mm.
a leader, that's to me, that's the ultimate advantage to
Oh my
be
gosh.
intelligent and to have that foresight and be able to understand how your emotions affect not only you, but the people around you. That's a superpower. And honestly, for leaders today, that's the thing that's going to give you the edge because there's only
Agree.
such a small amount of number who actually are practicing emotional intelligence on a daily basis. So I would say for business, it shows up in everything. Your
Yeah.
emotions and everything. Not having control of your emotions is going to dictate how much you're going to sabotage when it comes to your business. Not having your emotions in check is going to, it messes with your nervous system. Are you even able to hold space for the amount of
Mm.
success you want or the amount of money that you're looking to, acquire? It it, for me, it's the basis of everything. And
Yeah.
I think to be conscious and be consciously aware is the key. And it's not easy,
Mm.
but it starts with introspection and reflection. And again, that's something that unless you're taught how to, or you're given examples or shown the way, it's not something that somebody's going to go and just pick up a journal and I'm going to start reflecting. I'm like, that's just not how it goes. So that's why I'm really big on
Yeah.
self-leadership. So I'm like a self-leadership coach, and self-leadership is taking full responsibility for your emotions, for your
Yeah.
actions, for how you show up in the world. And it plays a big part in everything. It filters into everything that you do.
Do you think that some people may have it a little bit more naturally because I think of myself, I'm putting myself in these shoes, and I've always been told I've been so wise, like wise beyond my years, even being so young. I remember people telling me this in like elementary school, like adults, and I've always been a very intuitive person. I still am. So like I run my business on like what feels right. Like I know when hiring someone if I'm going to hire them or if they're the right fit before they even say anything. It's a really weird feeling. Anyways, so, but I've never been taught that. Like looking back, actually, I feel like my dad was very quiet and my mom definitely was good with her emotions. So I can't even say that I had that example in my life. But I never, was taught these things. But like when I journal, it comes so deep. It just comes so naturally to me. So do we have it and then we lose it? Or I guess I get sometimes to me, I'm like, if I've never had that example, then I don't know why it came so naturally because I can't say like, oh, I watched my mom or I learned from my mom. Like I can't say that. So do you think that there's something where it comes easier to others?
Oh, absolutely. Well,
Okay.
emotion, it's a skill. So it's something that everyone can have, but you have to
Right.
develop it. But it's really interesting you say that because I'm very similar to the way you just described yourself. And until I was going through my healing and everything, I used to think, oh, I'm so intuitive. I used to grow up, I was always the old soul. I'm really mean, I'm always the therapist of the group. Like that's a common theme. However, what I realized was this could be traced all the way back to hypervigilance from my
Mm.
PTSD from my childhood. And so when I came to California and I started working a government job, I got in through this like leadership program, this really great leadership program with State Fund. And they have like a section going through emotional intelligence. And this was the first time I'd even heard of like what emotional intelligence was. And they put us through the motions, they did all the testing, and I scored like really, really high. I think I got something like 89%. I didn't even know what emotional intelligence was.
Yeah, my therapist says like I have really high EQ, emotional like intelligence. Yeah.
But the more I went into it, I've always been hypervigilant because of my
Mm.
trauma. I didn't, it was more of a survival mode skill that I developed as a kid
Okay.
and brought into adulthood. And it was, even though it was born in trauma, it was a really helpful skill. I didn't realize how much it played a part. And that definitely played into my levels of emotional intelligence before I was aware of it and before I could start developing that
Mm.
skill. So yeah, I agree that I think some people have an advantage over other people, but
It's possible.
everyone has the possibility to develop the skill for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So what do you feel like women are doing that's hurting our ability to master our emotions?
Honestly, I think projection is like a big thing nowadays. I think so. There's just so much happening in the world. And I think it's really easy for us unconsciously to be in a state where we're just projecting how we feel onto other people, not taking ownership and not taking responsibility. And I think if more women took the time to focus on themselves and actually put themselves first, I'm really big on not self-abandoning because that's my theme through my life. But the amount of women that don't realize how much they self-abandon because it's so ingrained in our society. This is how we're bred to be, right? Put everybody
Yeah.
before our
Oh
own.
my gosh, yes.
And that
I,
was,
I always say I have a healthy dose of selfishness.
I call it selflessness. Like it's selfless to put yourself first because
Yes.
say you have to put your oxygen mask on first. We can help anybody
Hmm.
else. You can't pull from,
Hmm.
all that good stuff. So yeah, I think I really wish that when I was in a more unconscious state, if somebody would have came to me and suggested, why don't even just doing like something as simple as like a life audit of everything, every area of your life, being honest, because that's the big thing, being honest. Because if you're not ready to be honest, you're not going to. But looking in the mirror, being able to really look at yourself and be honest about the things that you're not happy about. Because for me
Mm.
personally, I didn't even realize how unhappy I was when I was in the deepest pits of misery in my life because
Wow.
I'm just going through the motions and
Yeah.
life just didn't stop. And I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm working, I'm doing all these millions and millions of things, and I don't even have the time to stop and audit myself. And what do I really want? Where's
Yeah.
the clarity of where's my place? What I through my marriage, the things I'd been through, I completely lost my sense of self, completely lost who I was.
Yeah.
And I've always been a really confident person growing up. I would look at other women and back in the day and I would judge them and be like, I would never allow anybody to treat me that way. I would never. But unless you have that foundation of self-worth, yes, you will allow people to treat you that way because
Yeah.
you don't know any better. And
Yeah.
I think every woman should do at some point in their life should do an audit on their levels of self-worth and how they see themselves, on their levels of how much they actually accept themselves. Because
Yeah.
that's a really, I think nowadays it's like a revolutionary act, isn't it? To be completely
Yeah.
happy and love yourself. And I think that's important for women because every way you turn, you're gonna be influenced and marketed to not like something about yourself. Why? Because it's a billion-dollar business. And I
Yeah.
think you're confident in yourself and you can really be honest with yourself. And
Yeah.
I I, I think that's gonna push women forward the most, personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, you need to have that because I know that too. We're, influenced by our circles, whether it's our maid family, like our spouse and all that, or friends. But yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it before, you tend to attract what you are, if you are unaware. And so you're kind of then stuck in that influence, that circle that you're in, that's not always the healthiest for us.
Mm. Is it
So
familiarity breeds content? Familiarity? I can't even say that word. Familiar. I'll let you say it.
wait, now I feel like I'm not gonna no. Does everyone know what we're trying to say?
We can't say familiarity. We can't say it right
That's
now.
it. I mean, that's how I would say it.
Breeds
Familiar.
content.
Wow. That's actually one that like I guess I've never thought of the word until I'm like, yeah, I guess it's a tongue twister for me. But I'm also like really bad at pronunciation in general. I called cayenne pepper Kanye pepper for the longest time. So just
Oh, well,
putting
I
that out
just say
there.
it different because I'm English. So, it's basil, not basil,
I love that.
chamomile, chamomile.
I love that. I love that. No, there are still some English words that I just love how you guys say. And I'm like, I'm gonna adopt that. Like I'm gonna go on holiday. I don't want to say vacation anymore. I just want to say I'm going on holiday. I'm obsessed.
You jolly hollies. That's what you call it. You jolly hollies.
So you kind of gave us one thing for helping develop emotional mastery of doing that audit is I was gonna my kind of that was my next question is like giving us 1 to 2 things. So do you have another suggestion on top of like the life audit to help us start developing our emotional mastery?
I think no, I'm very big on, you were talking about your intuition, the way you run your business, going with the flow. I'm very much the same. I've come out of like, the masculine fight or flight of go, 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 and
Yes.
more into the flow because that just works best for me. So I'm not really big on, you have to get up at 6 a.m. You have to like I'm the opposite. I'm like, you need to reflect. Reflection needs to be a part of your life. You don't need to do it every day.
Mm,
Good to have a routine to do it, maybe I think minimum once a week, but
okay.
reflection is a huge tool. Why? Because you can't change what you can't see, and you can't
Mm,
be aware of stuff that you're not willing to reflect on. So that's with the tool I use, the method I developed, the RAMA method. RAMA stands for Reflection, Awareness, Management, and Repeat, and it's a 4-step process that just helps you get into the flow and into the habit of reflecting. So reflection,
mm,
we start with, what's the issue? What are we reflecting on? Awareness, what did we learn from what it is that we're reflecting on? What is it that we're seeing in ourselves? What patterns are we seeing that maybe we want to change? Then we move on to management. Okay, if this is the goal, what is one small step we can take towards that? Because that's how change happens. It doesn't happen with upholding your whole life. Small little increments of change, really underestimated. And then repeat. You have to have a systems of what's going to get
yeah.
you where you want to go. If you don't have a system in place that works individually for you, it's not going to work. I've
Yeah.
tried a million different systems based on, and a lot of systems that are out there, they're based off men. And that was another
Yeah.
thing for me. It's like they don't work for me. My body doesn't operate the same way you guys
I would s- I
are.
would say the same thing with health too. We see that a lot in like cold plunging and intermittent fasting and all these studies, people share and a lot of them are built around males and not females. So it's not always, so it's not the same. It's just not the same. We're different beings and obviously we also have like different things, our hormones, our cycle, etc. But I also think that we, at least from my experience, I just feel like women are I think men have the capability of going deeper emotionally for sure. I'm not saying that women are the only species to be able to do this, but I do feel like it's maybe a little bit easier and maybe it's the mothers in us when we become mothers. There's just something different about it.
Yeah, I agree. And I just like working with women more because I think they are more, and not to say that men are, I just don't work with men anymore, but not,
Yeah.
well, just more, I think they're just more ready to go there.
Yes.
They're more
Yes.
ready to when women are ready to make change, like they're going to face themselves and they're going to make that change, and they're going to commit to it if they're ready
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I'm really big on like the ripple effect as well. So you know what we do affects everybody around us, and that's kind of like a bigger mission of mine to get women to, if it's self-leadership, it's all about practice what you preach, basically. And just by you working on yourself and, taking a stand of self-leadership, you're going to affect the people around you. You're going to have a positive effect on the people around you. And you just don't ever know how far that ripple goes. And I think just where we are in the world right now, like we need more of that.
Yeah.
And
I agree. Do you have an example of when owning your emotions shifted the outcome of like something personal or professional? We can lean more maybe in the professional side of things. Um, do you have any examples that come to mind when it's just like, wow, I did this work and this is like, because of this work, this is the amazing outcome that I had?
yeah, well, I mean, I can break down the three. So with the Ramar method, what I normally do is we apply that to the three pillars of authentic leadership, and the three pillars are like their self-worth, their self-acceptance, self-confidence, and so a big one for me, which I talk about and a lot of women can relate to, is the self-acceptance thing is always a big thing, because the society we're not we're not allowed, let's say, it's probably a better word. We're not always allowed to be in a space as women where we truly love ourselves or even like ourselves without the hatred, without the criticism, without we're never allowed to just exist and be our in our authentic self without getting the hate. And I guess that's part of it. That that's gonna come with it. But the self-acceptance part, that's where you want the thick skin. You want to be able to show up. You want to be able to show up online. You want to be able to take the criticism. You want to be able to take the slander, everything that comes your way, the smear campaign. You need to learn to accept yourself 100%. And that doesn't mean love every single part of it. Hopefully, that's the goal. You get to a place where you
Yeah.
can love about you. But it starts with just accepting what you can't change and then growing to love it as you go. Because so many of us, the stuff we can't change, will either try and change it through different means, whether that's, plastic surgery or the way we, and that's
Mm.
everyone can do whatever they want to do. However, I,
No, but I see this is it is my issue, right? It's everyone's body, but I think it is disturbing what our future generations will view as normal. And when we get further and further away from that, I am more so, I mean, our generation, we kind of do. Like we have that example because that wasn't always the thing. But like my kids and my kids' kids, they're gonna think that's normal. And so when they are not anything like that, they're gonna be like, something's wrong with me because I'm not like everyone else. So that's my only like tidbit there of kind of going back to self-acceptance is I think a lot of this is a band-aid to
I
something that needs
agree.
to happen within us deeper.
I agree. And like I say, like we can talk about plastic surgery and women, I believe women should be allowed to do anything they want to do with their body. But speaking from personal experience, I grew up in a family that like would always criticize me and mock me for like the size of my nose. Because we're Nigerian and I ended up with like the white nose and everyone else got the black nose because I'm the youngest. That's fine. And so because like I was always mocked and teased, like my nose was so big growing up, I had this concept that, I need to get a nose job because my
Yeah.
nose is big. But luckily for me, thank you, Jesus, I grew up poor. So I never got to get the surgery. However, I've never been so grateful for being so poor in my whole life because now
A blessing.
I love my nose. And for
Yeah.
the nose job, that's to me, that's the one thing on the face that literally changes how you look completely. And I truly believe that if more women did the internal work and
Yeah.
learned to accept themselves a little bit, I'm not saying there'd be women out there that wouldn't still get plastic surgery. I'm
Right?
saying that the plastic surgery business would not be as big as it is today.
I agree. No, no, I totally agree. And I was the same way, right? Like I was a stick. I was so tiny growing up. I had no curves at all. And so I hated that because you see, yeah, what again, you grow up, you see people find attractive and all of that. And thankfully I haven't ever done anything. I haven't had like Botox or nothing. Because I've learned as I grew up just to love myself. And I look back and I'm so glad that I stayed true to that. I stayed true to myself and didn't succumb to any like pressures of like outside influence or whatnot because I want to make sure that I'm a role model to my daughter that we all are created so uniquely. We're all not supposed to look the same. And it is so funny that when you're little and there's things that you hate, like I used to hate my name because it was so unique, it was so different. I just wanted to be a Courtney or a Brittany. Like I was just like, why is my name so different? And now I love it. And so I do, and I'm so glad that, as we get older, I think we start to see these things. And so, yes, that's why I'm like, I feel like these are the things that like, okay, if you do want to change something about yourself, let's deep dive first. And if you still want to, okay, but like making sure that it's coming from a really, really deep, genuine place versus you know, not having confidence in your body.
And if you do skip the surgery, just go on vacation, go on a holiday, take yourself on a
Go on
holiday
holiday.
with that money. But no, I agree. I think the same with me, like having a daughter, it really ingrained in me just, we saw the Instagram era and the Kardashians and, everyone having,
Yes.
what do they call it? The filter face or like,
Yes.
I don't, is that the right term?
Yes.
Filter face, sorry.
Yes.
Um, I'm like you. I'm 100% natural, and
Yeah.
for me, I'm committed to that. I don't buy into the fear of aging. I don't.
Yeah.
I part of the journey, and I want my daughter to grow up and accept everything part of herself and not be insecure. Like, of course, we all have insecurities, and they fluctuate.
Yeah.
But I think being able to be secure in yourself that you don't project those onto other people or you don't, consciously want to change parts of yourself because you've not done the work.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that was really important for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Same. Same. Yeah. And like you said, I think some of it we may view on a conscience level of like, no, I just want to do it because I just want to do it. But I think when we really peel back all those deep, deep layers, I think that there's something more to it. And maybe people don't even realize. They swear that it's just, you know, they don't really realize that the subconscious is kind of running the show. And so they're just consciously being like, no, I just genuinely just want to do it because I want to do it. I think that there's something deeper, to be honest. And that deeper, I feel like if you don't ever address it, that you'll just keep finding band-aids. Like it'll always be one thing. Like, okay, you might get this fixed, but now there's something else. But now there's something else. And it could be different. It doesn't have to be like on our body. It could be exactly what we're bringing into our life, right? So I'm always like, I'm a big fan of like root cause, like finding that like deeper root cause to make sure that the things that we're choosing to do isn't just a band-aid because it is just a band-aid at the end of the day. You need to find that like self-love. So that's why like I really adore like what you do. Um, One of my other questions is because you mentioned inner authority, and I am curious. We all have our seasons of self doubt or imposter syndrome. So, how can someone who struggles with that trust their inner authority?
You gotta build that trust. You gotta do that. It starts with self-trust. And if you don't trust yourself, wait, if you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, every time you don't do what you tell yourself you're gonna do, you're knocking your confidence. You're never gonna get
Mm,
to where you want to go. Sometimes, they say like fake it till you make it. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe in like exposure theory. Like, here's the thing: you're gonna do it, you're not gonna die. You're gonna feel very uncomfortable. You're probably gonna feel very nervous, you're gonna get all these emotions, all these feelings, but you're still gonna live on the other side of it. But the main thing that comes out of you coming through the other side is you have that social proof for yourself. You need to start finding the proof for your own
mm,
brain so you can be able to trust yourself. And that's where it all starts. That's where the confidence comes. The more you do that, you start getting the confidence coming in, and then it helps
yeah.
almost rewiring your subconscious to believe it. Because
Yeah. So
it,
true.
and that's like a lot of imposters. And it's like, aren't we all imposters when we're trying new things?
Yeah.
Right? And how do you get good at new things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah. That's so true.
That's how I see it. It's like, I I went from working a stage job, being like, oh, I'm going to be a speaker, I'm going to be a coach, and not to say I don't have skills that are not transferable,
Yeah.
but being, how many people are scared of public speaking?
I'm so
And
scared of public speaking. Even though I do fine. And there's never been like a time where I can pull back from of like, oh, well, that happened at one time, right? So I'm always like, but before speaking, I'm always like, why am I stressing myself out? You know, you're gonna do fine. You've done it before.
because you have that proof, right? But let's say
Yes.
you didn't have that proof, and this is your first time speaking, and you're literally spiraling because you don't,
Yes.
you're going to do it. It's going to
Yeah.
be uncomfortable. You're going to do it. But what you're going to have to look back on after you've done that, that's the gold. That's
Yeah.
your baseline. You have the proof and you have a baseline to improve on the next
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
So I
So
think
even if it didn't go well, you still have an understanding of what you need to improve on. Like there's still steps in making it better. And then each time you do it, it gets better and better
I
and
call
better.
it failing forward. Like that
Yeah.
you're not really failing, you're just moving
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, tell us some of your wellness, like non-negotiables in your day that you do that it really changes the game. I actually love the list that you sent me. It was kind of simple and I love that. But what are some of your daily non-negotiables?
Well, I like the fact you recognized it was simple because that's how I have to do it for my brain. I mean, everyone's different, right? But for
Yeah.
me, the things that I struggle with, with the CPTSD and the mental health, insomnia is like a major one for me.
Mm,
I don't have any control over my sleep schedule. Maybe one day I'll do 2 hours, could do like 6 hours. It's normally like intermittent. Like it's just I have to go with the flow, right? So
yeah.
that kind of stuff, and then ruminations really big for me as well. And that so because my brain is like a big hurdle for me on a daily
Mm,
basis. I slow mornings. I swear to God, that's been the key to
yes.
so not getting up and having that pressure of hearing, your emails going off or your phone going off, like intentionally starting the day off slow. I get my cup of tea, I put on my affirmations or whoever, like I need to like brainwash myself in the morning with some subconscious stuff. Put my cup of tea on, I light some incense, I open like my patio door so I can hear the birds, like everything that's just how you start your
Mm,
day, how your day is going to continue. And
yes.
start my day, especially like if I've not slept and I'm a little grumpy. I start my day and I open my phone and I'm scrolling on social media like that. That's going to dictate my day. Where I
Yeah.
intentionally start my day in a slow morning. I intentionally make sure I do at least 30 minutes of meditation or rewiring, some sort of subconscious rewiring to set my day up. It That's been like one of the biggest successes for me. And I know everybody's
I love
different.
that.
I know for some people, getting up at 4 a.m. might be appealing to you. That's just not me. I'm not a 4 a.m.er. I'm not a plunger. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Uh, But that's the point, right? You have to
Yeah.
find for you. And I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people are discouraged because they have all these people that are on the top podcast and all that, and they're like, oh, you have to do this, this, and this. And then they try it,
Yes.
doesn't work, and they're like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm giving up. It's like, no, go and
Yeah.
do your thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and then just
Uh,
give it 30 days and see how your life has changed.
Yeah. I mean, and I would say there's even seasons where I have to keep it simple, and then seasons where I can get a little complex. And I can do like, I'm going to add a castor oil pack here, and I'm going to sauna here, whatever. But there are some seasons where I do need to do slower, and some I can do faster. And it's just being okay with like having that flexibility. Because I do find that there's people that are very black and white. Like I do this or I don't. I do this all or I don't. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. We're ebbing and flowing, baby. We're just ebbing and flowing. Maybe that's a certain personality trait too, but I would like to think that people can get to that point.
I like going with the flow. I'm just going with the flow. Right?
And maybe it's because if you were previously in that like hustle mindset and go, 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 and you hit that burnout, that wall, and you
Mhm.
know how good that doesn't feel, it again, that's proof of like I'm learning something. I learned that that doesn't work for me, and I need to be able to go with the flow and how good it feels. And then, maybe that's what it is. So I love that. But okay, so tell us, where can people find you? Share us your website or your social media. Where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I have a website. It's emmaabalogun.com. On there, I have like all my services, my freebies, my blogs on there. I'm also on Instagram. Emma Abalogun. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So I'm not great with social media. It's like it's a lot of work. So I keep it.
I don't know. This was such a great episode. I'm like, girl, you better get out there on social media and share this message because you're so good at doing it.
I can't do Instagram and TikTok. I can't do all the TikTokies. I can't do all that. Too
I
much.
can't either. I know. No, I'm on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. That is pretty much like my assistant just sharing like what I'm posting on Instagram to TikTok. So I feel you. Like I can't keep up with it all. Same with like YouTube Shorts and all of that. But my main focus is just like Instagram because that's just where I've been for so long. And I don't know. I love Instagram. TikTok is kind of crazy. Well, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing with you what you do. I hope women reach out to you. But thanks for hanging out with us.
No, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.